Dr. Maya Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she carefully brushed dirt away from the strange metal surface. She had been working in the ruins on Kepler 442b for 3 months now, but this was different from anything she had found before. The metal gleamed with a blue light that seemed to come from inside it. "Jake, come look at this," she called to her partner. Lieutenant Jake Sullivan walked over from where he was setting up scanning equipment. He was a tall man with short brown hair and the kind of steady hands that came from military training. The Earth Colonial Defense Force had sent him to protect the research team, but he had become genuinely interested in their work. "What did you find this time, Doc?" Jake asked, kneeling beside her in the dirt. "I think it's some kind of data storage device," Maya said. She was a small woman with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, and her brown eyes were bright with excitement. "Look at these symbols carved into the surface. They're not like anything we've seen from the Coalition species." The ruins stretched for miles across the planet's surface. Most scientists believed they were maybe 10,000 years old, left behind by some forgotten civilization. But Maya had always suspected they were much older. The way the stones were cut, the strange alloys used in the construction, none of it matched what they knew about galactic history. Jake picked up his scanner and ran it over the metal object. "You're right. This thing is old, really old. My equipment is saying millions of years, but that can't be right." "Why not?" Maya asked. "Just because the Coalition tells us intelligent life only started developing 50,000 years ago doesn't make it true." Jake frowned. Maya was always questioning the official histories, and it made him uncomfortable. The Galactic Coalition had been good to humanity. They had shared technology, invited Earth to join their alliance, and helped humans spread to dozens of worlds. Why would they lie about something like galactic history? Maya continued working on the device. After an hour of careful cleaning, she found what looked like an activation panel. The symbols on it were completely different from any known writing system. "I'm going to try to turn it on," she said. "Is that safe?" Jake asked. "Probably not," Maya said with a grin. "But that's what makes it fun." She pressed her hand against the panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the device began to glow brighter, and holographic images appeared in the air above it. Jake jumped back, his hand moving to his sidearm out of habit. But Maya leaned forward, fascinated. The images showed star maps, but not of any region she recognized. Then came pictures of different alien species, with detailed information scrolling beside each image. "Jake, are you recording this?" she asked. "Already." "On it," he replied, holding up his camera unit. The images continued for several minutes. Maya saw species she had never heard of, with strange body types and living on worlds that didn't appear on any Coalition charts. But then something made her heart skip a beat. A human face appeared in the hologram. The information beside it was in the same alien writing as everything else. But the Coalition's translation software in Maya's tablet began working on it automatically. Slowly, words began to appear in English. Species designation, human. Classification, biological, status, ... Maya read aloud, then stopped. "What does it say?" Jake asked. Maya's face had gone pale. "It says status, scheduled for elimination." Jake moved closer to read over her shoulder. "That has to be a translation error." But as they watched, more human information appeared. Details about human biology, psychology, and behavior patterns. Information about Earth's location, human colonies, even details about human military capabilities. All of it marked with the same symbols that the tablet translated as scheduled for elimination. "This is impossible," Jake said. "These ruins are supposed to be ancient. How could they have information about humans?" Maya was already working on the device, trying to access more data. Jake Look at this. Every species we've seen so far has the same marking. All of them are scheduled for elimination. All of them? Wait. No, not all. Maya's fingers flew over her tablet as she cross-referenced the species they had seen with known coalition members. The Zephyrians, Corathans, and Nexari, the 3 founding species of the coalition, they're not marked for elimination. They have different symbols. Jake was quiet for a long minute. Maya, maybe we should report this to Coalition Command. Let them figure out what it means. I tried, Maya said, still working on the device. My communication requests to the main database have been blocked. Every time I try to access Coalition historical records that might explain this, I get an access denied message. As if summoned by her words, Maya's tablet began beeping with an incoming message. The sender was identified as Coalition Security. Dr. Rodriguez, the message read, you are ordered to cease all research activities immediately and report to Station Command for debriefing. All artifacts and data collected from the Kepler 442b site are to be turned over to Coalition authorities. Maya and Jake looked at each other. In 3 months of work, Coalition Security had never shown any interest in their research. Now, just hours after discovering the device, they wanted everything confiscated. That's quite a coincidence, Jake said quietly. Maya was already packing the crystal device into her equipment bag. I don't believe in coincidences. Maya, what are you doing? We have to follow orders. Whose orders, Jake? I work for Earth University, not the Coalition military. And last I checked, you swore an oath to protect Earth and humanity, not to follow every command from alien governments. Jake watched her pack up the rest of her equipment. His military training told him to follow proper channels and report to authorities. But something about the timing bothered him too. How had Coalition Security known about their discovery so quickly? If we take that device, we'll be fugitives, he said. If we give it to them, we might all be dead, Maya replied. Jake, what if this information is real? What if there really is some plan to eliminate human and other species? Don't we have a responsibility to find out? Before Jake could answer, they heard the sound of aircraft approaching. Through the ruins' broken walls, they could see Coalition security ships landing near their camp. They're early, Maya said, slinging her pack over her shoulder. The message said to report for debriefing, not that they were coming here. Jake made his decision. He grabbed his own equipment and Maya's research notes. There's a back way out through the eastern ruins. My ship is hidden in the canyon beyond the ridge. As they ran through the ancient corridors, Maya clutched the crystal device to her chest. Behind them, she could hear Coalition security forces moving through their abandoned camp. Whatever was on this device, someone was very eager to keep it secret. The truth about humanity's place in the galaxy was about to change everything. Jake's ship moved quietly through the darkness of space, its engines running on minimal power to avoid detection. Maya sat in the passenger seat, still studying the crystal device they had taken from the ruins. 3 days had passed since they escaped from Kepler 442b, and Coalition ships were searching for them everywhere. Where are we going? Maya asked, looking up from the device. There's someone I know who might help us, Jake said. Captain Lisa Chun runs a small group of humans who don't trust the Coalition completely. They operate out of the Vega system. Maya had heard whispers about human separatists, people who thought Earth had joined the Coalition too quickly. Most citizens ignored them, calling them paranoid troublemakers. But now Maya wondered if they had been right to be suspicious. Will she help us? Maya asked. Lisa's been asking questions about Coalition policies for years. If anyone will believe what we found, it's her. The journey to Vega took 2 more days. Jake had to take a long route through empty space to avoid Coalition patrols. When they finally reached the coordinates Lisa had given him, Maya was surprised to see what looked like an old mining station built into a large asteroid. "It's not much to look at," Jake said, "but it's hidden and secure." The docking bay was small and filled with older ships. Most of them looked like they had been modified for combat. As Maya and Jake walked through the station's corridors, she noticed that everyone they passed was human. No Coalition species were anywhere to be seen. Captain Lisa Chun met them in what had once been the station's main office. She was a woman in her 40s, with gray streaks in her black hair and sharp green eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She wore a simple uniform with captain's insignia that looked like it came from an Earth military unit. "Jake Sullivan," she said, shaking his hand. "I heard you were in trouble with Coalition security, and you must be Dr. Rodriguez." "Thank you for helping us," Maya said. "I haven't decided if I'm helping you yet," Lisa replied. "Jake says you found something important." "Show me." Maya set the crystal device on the table and activated it. The holographic images appeared again, showing the species profiles and the terrible words "scheduled for elimination" next to human faces. Lisa watched in silence for several minutes. When the display ended, she sat back in her chair with a thoughtful expression. "How do you know this isn't fake?" she asked. "I've run every test I can think of," Maya said. "The device is definitely millions of years old. The information it contains includes details about human biology and psychology that most Coalition species don't know. And the timing of Coalition Security's response suggests they know exactly what this device contains." Lisa nodded slowly. "Follow me. There's something you need to see." She led them deeper into the station, to a room filled with computer equipment. The walls were covered with charts and maps showing Coalition territory and ship movements. "We've been tracking Coalition activities for 10 years, Lisa said. "Officially, we're listed as a mining operation. Unofficially, we investigate things the Coalition doesn't want investigated." She pulled up a holographic display showing a timeline. 37 species have joined the Coalition in the past century. Guess how many of them are still around? Maya studied the display. "I see 23 species listed as current members." "Right. 14 species have disappeared completely. The Coalition's official explanation is always the same: war, disease, natural disasters, or voluntary relocation to distant galaxies. But we've been to some of their homeworlds. They're not empty because of disasters. They've been systematically cleaned." Jake frowned. "Cleaned how?" "Every trace of the original inhabitants removed. Buildings torn down, graves dug up, even the soil treated to remove biological traces. Then new colonies from Coalition species are established. It's like those species never existed." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "That matches what we found on the device. Hundreds of species marked for elimination." Lisa activated another display. "Here's something else interesting. Every species that disappeared had certain characteristics in common. They were all aggressive, adaptable, and quick to develop new technology. Sound familiar?" "You're describing humans," Jake said quietly. "Exactly. And there's more." Lisa brought up images of Coalition ships and stations. "We've been monitoring Coalition military buildups. They've been positioning fleets near human colonies for months. They call it routine patrol enhancement." Maya studied the ship positions. "These aren't defensive formations. They're siege positions." "That's what we thought too. But we couldn't prove the Coalition had hostile intentions toward humanity. Until now." Lisa looked at the crystal device. "This is the proof we've been looking for." Over the next few hours, Maya worked with Lisa's computer specialists to decode more information from the device. What they found was even more disturbing than the original discovery. The device contained detailed plans for what it called species elimination protocols. The plans were thorough and had been used many times before. First, The target species would be gradually isolated from other coalition members through political and economic pressure. Then false flag operations would be used to justify military intervention. Finally, complete elimination would be carried out under the cover of protecting galactic security. "Look at this," Maya said, pointing to a section of the decoded text. "It describes the psychological profiles of species that resist elimination. Humans are listed as having exceptional resistance, potential due to chaotic neural patterns and strong survival instincts." Jake read over her shoulder. "It says standard elimination protocols may not be effective against humans. Alternative methods may be required." "Alternative methods?" Lisa asked. Maya continued reading. "Psychological warfare, divide and conquer tactics, use of human collaborators. In positions of authority." She looked up at the others. "They're planning to turn us against each other." As if to confirm her words, Jake's communication device began receiving an emergency broadcast from Earth. The message was from Admiral Alex Brooks, Maya's former mentor, and now a high-ranking officer in the Coalition fleet. "Dr. Rodriguez," the message began, "I know you're receiving this. You and Lieutenant Sullivan are wanted for theft of Coalition property and violation of security protocols. But I'm willing to overlook these charges if you return the stolen artifact immediately. This device contains dangerous information that could destabilize the peace we've worked so hard to build. You're putting not just yourself at risk, but all of humanity." The message continued for several more minutes, alternating between threats and appeals to Maya's loyalty. But what struck her most was how much Admiral Brooks seemed to know about what they had discovered. "He knows," Maya said. "Brooks knows exactly what's on this device." "Brooks was always too eager to please the Coalition," Lisa said. "Some of us suspected he might be compromised." Jake was studying the tactical displays. "Captain, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up a Coalition fleet approaching this system. 20 ships, including 3 heavy cruisers." Lisa immediately began giving orders to her crew. "All ships prepare for immediate departure. Scatter pattern 7. Wheel. Regroup at the backup location." As alarms began sounding throughout the station, Maya grabbed the crystal device. "We can't let them get this." "They won't," Lisa said grimly. "But we can't stay here. Admiral Brooks found us faster than should have been possible. Either we have a traitor, or Coalition intelligence is better than we thought." As they ran toward the docking bay, Jake grabbed Maya's arm. "There's something else. Brooks mentioned other devices. This isn't the only one." Maya looked at the crystal in her hands. "And we need to find the others before the Coalition does. This information has to reach the other species marked for elimination." The station shook as the first Coalition ships entered the system. Around them, human rebels were evacuating with the efficiency of people who had practiced this many times before. But Maya knew that running would only delay the inevitable. Somewhere in the galaxy, an ancient plan was moving forward. A plan that had already eliminated hundreds of species and was now targeting humanity. The only question was whether they could expose the truth before it was too late. The crystal device pulsed with blue light in Maya's hands, as if it knew the fate of entire civilizations depended on the secrets it contained. The rebel ships had been traveling for 2 weeks through empty space beyond the galaxy's edge. Maya watched the stars grow dim and distant to the viewport of Captain Chun's ship. They were following coordinates from the crystal device. Coordinates that led to a place no Coalition ship had ever explored. "Are you sure about this location?" Jake asked, looking at the navigation display. "We're farther from home than any human has ever been." Maya nodded, holding the crystal device in her lap. "The coordinates are clear. There's something out here the device wants us to find." Captain Chun's voice came over the ship's communication system. "All ships, prepare for final approach. Long-range sensors are picking up a massive structure ahead. Through the viewport, Maya could see a dark shape against the star field. As they got closer, she realized the structure was enormous, bigger than any space station or ship she had ever seen. It looked like a small moon, but its surface was covered with geometric patterns and gleaming metal. "What is that thing?" Jake whispered. The structure was clearly artificial, built by some intelligence with technology far beyond anything in Coalition space. As their ships approached, lights began appearing on its surface, as if it were waking up after a long sleep. "Captain Chun," Maya said into her communicator, "I think we should dock carefully. This facility is still active." The docking bay they found was large enough to hold all 5 rebel ships with room to spare. As they landed, Maya noticed that the bay was filled with a breathable atmosphere. Someone or something was expecting visitors. The rebel team that went. Inside consisted of Maya, Jake, Captain Chun, and 6 other humans. They carried weapons and scanning equipment, but Maya had a feeling they wouldn't need to fight. The facility felt empty, but not abandoned. More like it was waiting. The corridors inside were vast and filled with the same blue light they had seen in the crystal device. Strange symbols covered the walls, and Maya's translation device worked slowly to decode them. Most of the text seemed to be technical information about the facility's systems. "This place is old," Jake said, checking his scanner. "Older than the ruins on Kepler 442b, maybe 10 million years." They walked for almost an hour through the facility's corridors before they heard a human voice calling out to them. "Hello? Is someone there? Please, I haven't seen another person in 3 years." The voice was coming from a large chamber ahead of them. Captain Chun signaled for her team to be ready, but Maya stepped forward. "We're humans," she called out. "Are you all right?" A man appeared from behind a large computer console. He was thin and pale, with long hair and a beard that showed he had been alone for a long time. His clothes were worn but clean, and his eyes were bright with intelligence and relief. "My name is Dr. Nathan Price," he said. "I'm a xenobiologist from the University of Mars. I've been trapped here since my research ship was destroyed 3 years ago." Maya stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Maya Rodriguez. We found a crystal device that led us here. What is this place?" Nathan's eyes widened when he saw the device in Maya's hands. "You found one of the data cores. I've been trying to decode the information in this facility for 3 years. Come, let me show you what I've discovered." He led them deeper into the chamber, which was filled with advanced computer systems and holographic displays. Maya realized that Nathan had been living here, slowly learning to operate the alien technology. "This facility was built by a race called the Architects," Nathan explained. "They were the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever known. But they didn't just disappear. They moved to a higher dimension, leaving behind automated systems to continue their work." "What kind of work?" Captain Chun asked. Nathan activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy from above. "The Architects designed the current political structure of the galaxy. The Coalition wasn't formed naturally. It was engineered. The 3 founding races aren't really independent species." Maya felt her heart sink. "What do you mean?" "The Zephyrians, Korathans, and Nexari are artificial. They're bioengineered servant races, created by the Architects to manage the galaxy according to their plan. They have false memories and identities, but they're essentially biological robots." Jake stared at the display. "So everything we know about galactic politics is a lie?" "Not just politics," Nathan said grimly. He activated another display, showing a timeline. "The Architects have been systematically eliminating naturally evolved intelligent species for over 1 million years. 847 species have been destroyed so far." Maya looked at the crystal device in her hands. "The elimination lists we found. This has all happened before. Many times," Nathan confirmed. The Coalition's 3 servant races genuinely believe they're protecting a galaxy from dangerous species. They don't know they're following programming installed by the architects. Captain Chun was studying the displays. Why are the architects doing this? What's their goal? Nathan led them to another section of the chamber. Here, thousands of cylindrical pods lined the walls, each one glowing with a soft light. Preservation, Nathan said. The architects didn't completely destroy every species. They kept specimens in stasis, like samples in a laboratory. Maya approached one of the pods and looked. Inside, a strange crystalline being floated in some kind of suspension fluid. It was beautiful and alien, unlike anything she had ever seen. This is a Kalari, Nathan explained. Their species was eliminated 50 years ago. The Coalition reported that. They died from a plague, but they were actually captured and stored here. The Kalari were highly advanced. They had developed technology that could detect dimensional signatures. Dimensional signatures? Jake asked. The architects exist in a higher dimension now. The Kalari technology could have exposed their continued influence over the galaxy, so they had to be eliminated. Maya was walking along the rows of pods, looking at the preserved beings inside. Each one represented an entire civilization that had been wiped out and forgotten. Nathan, why weren't humans eliminated years ago? She asked. Because you weren't supposed to develop faster than light travel for another 500 years, he replied. Humanity's early achievement of space travel has disrupted the architect's timeline. They're accelerating the elimination schedule, not just for humans, but for all remaining natural species. Captain Chun was examining the facility's control systems. Can we wake these beings up? I've been trying, Nathan said. The Kalari pods are the most advanced. I think I can revive one of them safely. But once we do, there's no going back. The architect's systems will detect the revival and send the Coalition to stop us. Maya looked at the sleeping Kalari in the nearest pod. We have to try. These beings have been prisoners for decades. They deserve a chance to fight back. There's something else, Nathan said quietly. I've been monitoring Coalition communications. Admiral Brooks has been building a massive fleet. He's calling it Operation Cleansing Fire. From what I can tell, he's planning to sterilize human colonies. Jake clenched his fists. How many colonies? All of them. Every human settlement outside the Sol system. He's already destroyed New Austin Colony as a test. The news hit the group like a physical blow. New Austin had been home to 2 million humans, including families and children. If Brooks had destroyed it, then the elimination of humanity had already begun. We have to warn Earth, Captain Chun said. Earth might already be cut off, Nathan replied. The Coalition has been positioning ships around the Sol system for months. They're calling it a protective blockade. Maya made her decision. She walked to the Kalari pod and began studying its control systems. The symbols were similar to those on the crystal device, and her translation software was slowly making sense of them. I'm going to wake this one up, she said. We need allies who understand what we're fighting against. Maya, are you sure? Jake asked. We don't know anything about this species. We know they were advanced enough to threaten the architect's plan, Maya replied. And we know they're victims of the same conspiracy that's targeting us. She activated the revival sequence. The pod began to glow brighter, and the fluid inside started to drain away. After several minutes, the crystalline being's eyes opened. The Kalari looked around the chamber with confusion, then focused on Maya. When it spoke, its voice was like music, but the facility's translation system converted its words to English. How long have I been sleeping? It asked. 50 years, Maya replied gently. Your species was eliminated by the Coalition. I'm sorry. The Kalari's expression shifted to one of grief, then determination. I am Soren Vex, Chief Scientist of the Kalari Research Council. If you have awakened me, then you must know the truth. About the architects. We're learning, Maya said, and we need your help to stop them. Soren Vex stood up from the pod, its crystalline body reflecting the chamber's blue light. And we must work quickly. The architect's final phase is beginning, and once it starts, nothing will be able to stop the elimination of all natural life in the galaxy. Outside the facility, the stars seemed dimmer, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The fight for the galaxy's future was about to begin. 3 weeks after awakening Soren Vex, Maya found herself crouched in a maintenance tunnel beneath Proxima Station, the Coalition's central command facility. The air recycling systems hummed around her as she worked to hack into the station's communication network. Beside her, Jake monitored their escape route while checking his weapon. "How much longer?" he whispered. "Almost there," Maya replied, her fingers moving quickly over her portable computer. "Soren's dimensional detection technology is working perfectly. I can see exactly where the Coalition's control signals are coming from." The past 3 weeks had changed everything. Working with Soren Vex and the awakened Kalari, the Rebel Alliance had grown rapidly. They had successfully revived representatives from 12 different species that were supposed to be extinct. Each awakened being brought knowledge of advanced technologies and tactical information about the Coalition's methods. The Kalari had shared their dimensional detection technology, which revealed that the Coalition's 3 founding races were still receiving direct commands from the architects in their higher dimension. The insectoid Zephron species, thought to be extinct for 200 years, had provided distributed communication networks that the Coalition couldn't intercept. Other species contributed weapons technology, stealth systems, and strategic knowledge. The Coalition had responded with increasing brutality. Admiral Brooks had declared martial law in human space and begun what he called Operation Cleansing Fire. 3 more human colonies had been destroyed in the past 2 weeks, with the Coalition claiming they were infected with a dangerous plague that required complete sterilization. Maya's computer beeped softly. "I'm in. Jake, get ready to transmit." The message. The plan was simple but dangerous. Maya and Jake would broadcast the truth about the architects and the Coalition to every species in the galaxy simultaneously. Meanwhile, Captain Shun and Nathan would lead teams to liberate more preserved species from hidden architect facilities. "Broadcasting now," Jake said, activating their transmission equipment. Across Coalition space, the regular communication channels were suddenly interrupted. On every screen, in every language, the same message began playing. It showed the crystal device data that preserved species in the architect facility, and Soren Vex speaking directly to the camera. "Citizens of the galaxy," Soren's musical voice said through the translation systems, "you have been deceived. The Coalition that claims to protect you is actually a tool of elimination. Your governments are not your own. For 1,000,000 years, an ancient race called the Architects has been systematically destroying every naturally evolved species in the galaxy." The message continued for 10 minutes, showing proof of the Architects' plan and the Coalition's role in carrying it out. Maya watched the transmission counters on her computer, seeing the message reach billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. "It's working," she whispered to Jake. "The message is spreading faster than they can stop it." But their success was short-lived. Alarms began sounding throughout Proxima Station, and Maya could hear Coalition security forces moving through the corridors above them. "They've found us," Jake said. "We need to move now." As they crawled through the maintenance tunnels toward their escape ship, Maya's communicator crackled with reports from other rebel teams. The news was mixed but mostly encouraging. "Team 3 successful," came Nathan's voice. "We've liberated an entire architect facility in the Centauri system. 200 beings from 15 species are now awake and angry. Team 7 reporting. Heavy resistance, came another voice. Coalition forces were waiting for us at the Vega facility. We lost half our team, but we got the data cores. Captain Chun's voice cut through the chatter. All teams, the Coalition is mobilizing everything. They have every ship, every soldier. Admiral Brooks has declared total war against what he's calling the terrorist uprising. All human colonies are under immediate siege. Maya and Jake reached their ship just as Coalition fighters began attacking the rebel vessels docked at Proxima. Station. Their small craft was fast and equipped with Kalari stealth technology, but the station's defenses were formidable. Hold on, Jake said, piloting their ship through a maze of weapons fire and debris dot as they escaped into hyperspace. Maya received a priority message from Soren Vex. The Kalari scientist's image appeared on their communication screen. His crystalline features showing deep concern. Maya, our dimensional sensors are detecting massive energy buildups throughout the galaxy. The architects are accelerating their timeline even faster than we expected. What does that mean? Maya asked. It means they're preparing to activate something big. My people detected similar energy patterns just before our world was destroyed. But this is much larger. I believe they're preparing to eliminate all remaining natural species simultaneously. The scope of the threat was staggering. Maya thought about the billions of beings on thousands of worlds, all unaware that their existence was scheduled to end. Over the following days, the galaxy descended into chaos. The truth about the Coalition spread rapidly through underground networks and secret communications. On many worlds, the local populations rose up against their Coalition governors. Other species, like the peaceful Andorians and the scholarly Bitans, simply tried to hide or flee to distant systems. The Coalition's response was swift and brutal. Admiral Brooks, now revealed to be enhanced with architect technology that allowed him to receive direct commands from the higher dimension, led massive fleets to crush the rebellions. His tactics were ruthless and efficient, showing no mercy to civilians or non-combatants. But the rebels had advantages too. The awakened species shared technologies that the Coalition had never seen before. Kalari dimensional weapons could strike Coalition ships from parallel dimensions. Zephron hive mind. Communication allowed perfect coordination between rebel forces separated by thousands of light years. The crystalline Vortons could phase through solid matter, making them perfect saboteurs. Maya found herself coordinating rebel operations from a mobile command ship that jumped constantly between systems. She had become something she never expected. A military leader fighting for the survival of all natural life in the galaxy. Status report, she said to the gathered rebel commanders on the ship's main screen. Captain Chun appeared first. Human colonies are holding better than expected. Turns out when people know they're fighting for their lives, they get creative. Earth's defense fleet is using modified mining equipment to fight Coalition cruisers, and they're winning. Nathan's image appeared next. We've awakened over 3,000 beings from 50 different species. Each one brings knowledge of architect facilities and Coalition weaknesses. But we're running out of time. Our scouts report that Brooks is massing a fleet of over 10,000 ships. Soren Vex's crystalline features filled the screen. The dimensional energy readings are approaching critical levels. Whatever the architects are building, it will be ready soon. My calculations suggest they're constructing some kind of galaxy-wide weapon system. What kind of weapon? Maya asked. Something that can eliminate all naturally evolved life simultaneously while leaving the artificial Coalition species intact. If they activate it, the war will be over in minutes. Jake, who had been monitoring Coalition communications, looked up from his station. I'm intercepting messages between Brooks and the Coalition Council. They're calling it the final cleansing. It's scheduled to begin in 72 hours. Maya felt the weight of the galaxy's fate settling on her shoulders. 3 days to prevent the elimination of billions of beings. 3 days to stop a plan that had been 1,000,000 years in the making. Can we stop it? She asked Soren. The Kalari scientist was quiet for a long moment. The weapon is being powered by the life energy of all the preserved species in stasis throughout the galaxy. To stop it, someone would need to enter the Architect's dimension and shut down the system from the source. Is that possible? Theoretically, yes. But it would be a one-way journey. The dimensional transition would likely be fatal to any being not specifically designed for higher dimensional existence. Maya looked around at the faces on the screen: human, Kalari, Zephron, and others. Each one representing a species fighting for survival against impossible odds. Then we need to find another way, she said. We've come too far to give up now. But even as she spoke the words, Maya wondered if they had the strength to face what was coming. The final battle for the galaxies. Future was about to begin, and the enemy had been preparing for 1,000,000 years. The news of New Austin's complete destruction reached Maya's command ship just as the final countdown began. 48 hours until the Architects activated their galaxy-wide weapon. 2,000,000 humans had died on New Austin, vaporized by Coalition. Weapons that left nothing but empty space, where a thriving world had once existed. But something unexpected happened in the hours after the massacre. Reports began flooding in from human colonies across the galaxy about strange phenomena occurring among the survivors. Maya, you need to see this, Jake said, bringing up a communication from the Titan mining colony. The message showed a human woman named Sarah Walsh standing in what looked like a Coalition detention center. Around her, force field cells were simply turning off, their energy patterns dissolving like mist. I don't understand how I'm doing this, Sarah said to the camera. I just think about the force fields not being there, and they disappear. It's like the technology recognizes something in my mind. Similar reports came from dozens of human worlds. People were developing abilities that seemed impossible according to known science. Some could sense Coalition ships approaching from light years away. Others could understand alien technology just by touching it. A few could even predict where Coalition attacks would happen before they began. Dr. Nathan Price, working from his research lab on the mobile command ship, was studying the phenomenon with growing excitement. It's incredible, Maya, he said, showing her his data. The human neural patterns are changing. It's like your brains are adapting to something in the environment. Adapting to what? Maya asked. Soren Vex, monitoring the conversation through the ship's communication system, provided the answer. To the dimensional energy being released by the Architect's weapon preparations. The quantum resonance patterns are affecting human consciousness in ways the Architects never predicted. Maya felt a strange tingling in her own mind, as if something was awakening that had always been there but dormant. Is this happening to other species too? No, Soren replied. Only humans. Your chaotic neural structure, which the Architects saw as a flaw, is actually making you incredibly adaptable to trans-dimensional effects. Over the next 24 hours, the changes in human consciousness accelerated dramatically. Maya found that she could understand alien technologies intuitively, as if the devices were speaking directly to her mind. Jake discovered that he could sense the tactical intentions of Coalition commanders, predicting their strategies with uncanny accuracy. The effects were most pronounced among humans, who had been exposed to Architect technology. Maya, who had spent weeks handling the crystal device, began experiencing brief glimpses of the higher dimension where the Architects existed. She could see them as beings of pure energy, manipulating the galaxy like pieces on a vast game board. Captain Chung reported similar developments throughout the human resistance. Our people are becoming living tactical computers, she said during a strategy meeting. Small groups of humans are outfighting coalition forces that outnumber them 100 to 1. The most dramatic demonstration came when Jake led a desperate assault on the coalition's primary fleet yards in the Arcturus system. Intelligence reports showed that Admiral Brooks had assembled a massive fleet there, over 2,000 warships preparing for the final assault on rebel strongholds. Jake's force consisted of only 200 humans in small, lightly armed ships. By any reasonable calculation, they should have been destroyed within minutes of engaging the coalition fleet. Instead, something extraordinary happened. The humans moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared a single mind. They anticipated every coalition tactic before it was implemented. Ships that should have been destroyed by superior firepower somehow avoided every attack while striking with surgical precision at critical weak points. Jake himself seemed to exist in multiple places at once, his small fighter craft appearing and disappearing throughout the battle space. When coalition commanders tried to target him, he was already somewhere else, having sensed their intentions before they phoned them. In 3 hours of combat, the human force destroyed or captured nearly the entire coalition fleet. The victory was so complete and so impossible that news of it spread throughout the galaxy within hours. Admiral Brooks, watching the battle from his flagship before fleeing the system, sent a priority message to all coalition forces. The humans have been contaminated by architect technology, his transmission said. They are no longer entirely natural beings. All previous tactical assumptions are invalid. Recommend immediate activation of the final cleansing protocol. Maya intercepted the message and felt her heart sink. The weapon countdown, which had been set for another 18 hours, suddenly accelerated. New readings from Soren's dimensional sensors showed massive energy spikes throughout the galactic core. They're moving up the timeline, Soren announced. The weapon will be ready in 6 hours. Nathan looked up from his research. Maya, I've been analyzing the changes in human consciousness. The dimensional exposure isn't just giving you new abilities. It's preparing you for something specific. What do you mean? The quantum patterns in your brain are becoming compatible with higher dimensional existence. It's almost like the architect technology is trying to evolve you into something that can survive in their dimension. Maya felt the implications hit her like a physical blow. You're saying humans might be able to enter the architect's dimension? Not just enter it, Soren said, his crystalline features showing what might have been hope. You might be able to survive there long enough to shut down their weapon system. The plan that emerged was desperate and dangerous. Maya would use her enhanced consciousness, combined with Kalari dimensional technology, to transition into the architect's realm. Once there, she would need to locate and disable the weapon that threatened all natural life in the galaxy. The risks were enormous. No being had ever successfully returned from the higher dimension. Even with her evolved neural patterns, Maya might be destroyed instantly by the transition. Jake argued against the plan. There has to be another way. We can't ask you to sacrifice yourself. You're not asking, Maya replied. I'm choosing. If we do nothing, billions of beings die. If I try this and fail, billions of beings still die. But if there's even a small chance of success, I have to take it. Captain Shun was coordinating the final preparations when her sensors detected massive coalition fleet movements throughout the galaxy. Admiral Brooks was leading every available ship toward the Galactic core, where the architect weapon was hidden. He's not just protecting the weapon, Chun realized. He's positioning forces to hunt down every surviving rebel when the cleansing is complete. As Maya prepared for her dimensional journey, she received messages from awakened humans across the galaxy. The enhanced consciousness that was spreading through humanity had created a kind of collective awareness. Millions of humans were somehow aware of what she was attempting. We're with you, came the messages. All of us. You're not going alone. Maya realized that the dimensional transition might not be as isolated as they had thought. Be evolved. Human consciousness was becoming something greater than the sum of its parts, a new form of existence that the architects had never encountered. Soren Vex made the final preparations to the dimensional gateway. The portal will only remain stable for a few minutes. If you're going to do this, it has to be now. Maya stood before the swirling energy field that would transport her to the architect's realm. Behind her, the command ship's crew watched in silence. Around the galaxy, human consciousness reached out to support her in ways that science couldn't explain. Remember, Nathan said, the weapons control system should be recognizable. It's based on the same technology as the crystal devices. Maya nodded and stepped toward the portal. The energy field reached out to her, recognizing the dimensional compatibility that her evolved consciousness now possessed. As she crossed the threshold between dimensions, Maya felt the collective will of humanity flowing through her. She was no longer just one person attempting an impossible task. She was the representative of every species that had ever lived naturally, ever evolved, ever chosen their own path. The architect's dimension opened before her like a vast ocean of pure thought and energy. And somewhere in that infinite space, the weapon that could end everything was waiting. Maya's consciousness exploded into a realm beyond anything she had ever imagined. The architect's dimension was not a place but a state of pure thought and energy. She found herself floating in an ocean of light where time and space had no meaning around. Her vast intelligences moved like living stars. These were the architects, beings who had transcended physical existence millions of years ago. They noticed her presence immediately, their attention turning toward her like the gaze of ancient gods. Impossible, one of them said, its voice resonating directly in Maya's mind. A physical being cannot exist here, yet you do. Maya struggled to maintain her sense of self in this overwhelming environment. The collective consciousness of humanity that had supported her transition was still there, giving her strength and clarity. I am Maya Rodriguez, she said, her thoughts taking form as words in this dimension. I represent all naturally evolved life in the galaxy. I've come to stop your weapon. The architect's attention intensified. Maya could feel their surprise and curiosity. They had been alone in this dimension for so long that encountering another conscious being was almost incomprehensible to them. You are human, another architect observed. The chaotic species. We marked you for elimination, yet here you stand in our realm. How is this possible? As Maya focused on their question, she began to understand the truth about the architects and their plan. Their thoughts were open to her in this dimension, and she could see their history as clearly as if she had lived it herself. The architects had once been a physical species like any other. They had built a great civilization and achieved technological wonders. But as they grew more advanced, they became obsessed with order and control. They wanted to create a perfect galaxy where everything followed predetermined patterns. When they developed the ability to transcend physical existence, they thought they had found the ultimate solution. They would become beings of pure thought, designing and controlling the galaxy from a higher dimension. The three servant races, the Zephyrians, Korathans, and Nexari, were created to carry out their will. But Maya saw something the architects didn't understand about themselves. Their transcendence hadn't been progress. It had been escape. They were running from something that terrified them more than death. You're afraid, Maya realized, speaking the thought aloud. You're afraid of chaos, of change, of growth. You? Call it a plague, but it's really just natural evolution. The architect intelligences recoiled from her words. Evolution is dangerous, unpredictable. It leads to suffering and conflict. We have created order. You've created death, Maya replied. 847 species eliminated. Billions of beings who never got the chance to grow and learn and become something new. You didn't save the galaxy. You turned it into a museum. She could feel their confusion and growing anger. The architects had convinced themselves that their actions were necessary, that they were protecting the galaxy from chaos. Maya's words challenged everything they believed about themselves. The weapon must be activated, one of them declared. Natural evolution is a disease that spreads from galaxy to galaxy. We have contained it here, but if it escapes, it will corrupt the entire universe. Maya felt the weapon's presence like a burning star in the dimensional space around them. It was enormous and terrible, powered by the life energy of thousands of species held in stasis. She could sense the consciousness of every preserved being, their dreams and hopes trapped in endless sleep. But she also sensed something else. Weapon was not just powered by the stasis pods. It was connected to the architects themselves, drawing energy from their transcended forms. You don't understand, Maya said, moving toward the weapon's control matrix. The plague you're afraid of, it's not biological. It's not even physical. It's the fear of change itself. You became so afraid of growth and evolution that you stopped being alive. The architects tried to stop her from reaching the weapon controls, but their forms were too large and unwieldy in this dimension. They had become beings of pure order, unable to adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Maya reached the control matrix and placed her consciousness against it. The weapon systems were incredibly complex, but her enhanced human intuition allowed her to understand them. More importantly, she could feel the connection between the weapon and the architects themselves. If you activate this weapon, Maya said, it won't just eliminate natural life. It will eliminate the possibility of growth and change forever, including your own growth. You'll be frozen in this dimension for eternity, never able to become anything more than what you are now. For the first time in millions of years, the architects felt doubt. Maya could sense their uncertainty rippling through the dimensional space. There is another way, Maya continued. Instead of eliminating evolution, you could guide it. Help. Species grow and learn without controlling every step they take. Be teachers instead of dictators. And if we choose wrong? One architect asked, if chaos spreads beyond control, then you'll learn from the mistake and try something different. Maya said, that's what growth means. Taking risks, making mistakes, and becoming better because of them. Maya felt the weapon's power building toward activation. The coalition fleets in normal space were beginning their final assault on the rebel strongholds. In minutes, Admiral Brooks would give the order to eliminate all remaining natural life. But Maya also felt something else, the architect's ancient fear beginning to crack. For the first time in eons, they were considering the possibility that their great plan might be wrong. The weapon cannot be stopped from this dimension, one architect said. The activation sequence is already engaged. Only someone in normal space could shut it down now. Then I'll go back, Maya said. Impossible. The dimensional transition cannot be reversed. You will die in the attempt. Maya smiled, feeling the collective consciousness of humanity still supporting her. Maybe. But humans are good at doing impossible things. She reached deep into the weapon's control systems and found what she was looking for. A way to reverse the dimensional flow. It would destroy her physical form, but it would also carry a message back to normal space. As Maya began the transition, the architects made their choice. Instead of fighting her, they began to help. Their vast intelligences worked with her human intuition to modify the weapon systems. We will try your way, they said. But we cannot guarantee success. Nobody can, Maya replied. That's what makes it worth trying. The dimensional barriers shattered around Maya as she forced herself back into normal space. Her consciousness scattered across the galaxy. touching every human mind and carrying a simple message. The weapon was vulnerable, and she had found the way to stop it. Jake felt Maya's presence in his mind as he led the final assault on the Galactic core. Her knowledge flowed through him, showing him exactly where to strike. Around the galaxy, other humans felt the same guidance. Their enhanced abilities now focused on a single purpose. The weapon that had taken millions of years to build was destroyed in minutes by beings who had learned to evolve in real time. The Coalition's 3 servant races, freed from their programming, experienced genuine emotions for the first time in their existence. Admiral Brooks, his architect enhancements failing as the dimensional connection was severed, surrendered his fleet rather than continue a war he no longer understood. In the years that followed, the galaxy began to heal. The preserved species were awakened and given new worlds to inhabit. The former Coalition races worked with their victims to build something better, a free species alliance based on cooperation rather than control. Maya's consciousness, scattered across dimensional space, continued to serve as a bridge between the physical galaxy and the architect's realm. The ancient beings, learning to embrace change for the first time, began teaching rather than controlling. Jake often visited the memorial built where New Austin had once stood. As he looked up at the stars, he sometimes felt Maya's presence, reminding him that the universe was vast and full of possibilities they had only begun to explore. The galaxy was finally free to become whatever its inhabitants chose to make it. And for the first time in 1,000,000 years, that future was truly unknown.